Welcome everybody to this Sunday morning service here at Salt and Light Christian Church. The story that I will be telling you all this morning is about the hymn, Just As I Am. This hymn was written as a poem in 1836 by a woman named Charlotte Elliott. She was born in Britain, England, and raised as a young girl. But unfortunately, from her youth, she was plagued with poor health to the point of being disabled. And as she grew up with this condition, she unfortunately became quite bitter and even angry with God because of her circumstance. As a young adult, her family invited a minister named Dr. Mulan to come and counsel her because of her depression and her bitterness. And while they were at dinner, Charlotte broke, her temper rose, and she broke out into an outburst, yelling about her family and complaining about her family and her anger at God. And her family, being quite embarrassed, left the room and left her alone with the minister, where he continued to witness to her and confront her resentment towards God and her bitterness. He told her, "Aren't you sick of this state that you're in? Don't you want to come out of this? Don't you want a cure to this bitterness, to this resentment that has overtaken you?" And she responded asking, "Well, what is this cure you are offering?" And he told her that it is the faith that you are trying so hard to despise. He told her that all you need to do is to come to Christ just as you are. And so she, after they talked for a while and he continued to witness to her, she eventually came to Christ that night. And she recognized that God would accept her just as she was, that she didn't have to clean up her bitterness, come to terms with her resentment, that she just had to come to Christ. And when she did, as she began to study the Word, the Scriptures, she found a verse that really spoke to her, that she kind of took as her own. The verse is John 6:37. It says, "He who comes to me, I will by no means cast out." And inspired by this verse and her own testimony, she wrote a poem that would become the hymn that we all know, Just As I Am. This poem was printed on pamphlets and sold all around Europe to raise funds for poor clergymen and their families, with an emphasis on those who had children. And she would later become known for her poems and hymns that she wrote. She lived to be 82 years old, and she wrote over 150 hymns. And after her passing, when her family was sorting through her possessions, they ended up finding a box that contained over 1,000 letters that had all been sent to her, expressing their gratitude for the hymn that she wrote and how it touched their lives. And so, despite her unbelief and her resentment as a child and as a young lady, through her walk with Christ, she overcame. And her heart changed. And we can see that from the lyrics of this song and the other poems she wrote. So thank you. Let's bring the music.